All right. Second course. I have no transition for Ichi the Witch.
Yeah.
So this is not an anime. It's actually a manga, and one that's only on its 21st chapter. The
Oh.
reason I know about this is because this is a mild plug. If you like reading manga, especially like mainstream shonen manga, I recommend getting Viza's Shonen Jump app because it's $3 a month and you can read 100 chapters a day if you really are that kind of readaholic.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a good it's a good bang for your buck there.
Yep, and I have a cheap tablet I take with me to the gym, so I just plop myself up on the elliptical machine and open her up. And this has been my workout manga for the last month or so, as I've been slowly going through it. And it's only been out for about 5 months at this point. And that's the other nice thing about the Shonen Jump manga is that they get a translation early and often, which means occasionally you'll end up investing in a series that dies very quickly. Although it is just kind of interesting to see what does and doesn't fly with the main Shonen Jump audience.
Yeah.
Um, this one, I'm gonna put out a mild prediction that I think this could go somewhere and get popularity online, and I'm going to talk a little bit about why I think that's the case.
All right.
So our main character there in the front is Ichi, the titular witch. You might go, well, wait, isn't Ichi a guy's name? Yes, it is. Ichi is basically a wild child. He was abandoned out in the woods as a small child for reasons he doesn't understand, and he's just been surviving mostly on his own ever since. He has some friends in town where he goes to like trade for things that he catches, but mostly he's living off the land.
Yeah.
And this is a world where there are these spirits called magics, spelled with a J. You know, gotta be different.
Yeah.
MAGIK. It's me MAJIK. And the deal with these magics is that they are ancient spirits that were here before humanity. Each of them has a distinctive power, and women known as witches are able to capture them and bind them to gain access to their strengths.
Ah.
And what makes these adventures more interesting is that it isn't just about raw power. Like sometimes it's, oh, this wasn't actually one, but it's like, oh, you have to make me laugh. Like you can't just pound them into the dirt with a stronger magic. You have to do circuitous things. Like one was, I think you had to. Yeah, let's see, what was the deal with the ice shark? I want to say that her deal was. It's been a few weeks since I read that one. I want to say
Yeah.
that her deal was that you had to you had to make her feel more beautiful. That's right,
Ah.
something like that. Uh, And the witches basically, when a magic strikes, they show up, fight off the magic, and they try to capture it to add their power to their own. Well, uh, a few weeks back on Twitter, I said I think that every shonen battle manga can be broken down to: are you a Dragon Ball, are you a Naruto, or are you a Bleach?
Bleach. Yeah.
And this one is definitely a Naruto because he's a isolated child with a weird origin, and he ends up capturing this powerful magic who, in his terms, said, or in the terms of the capture, haha, I can't be captured by women. Ichi manages to use his forced survival skills to outmaneuver him and catch him.
Ah.
Now, this is a big deal because there's never been a male witch before. So he gets captured and brought under the influence of one of the more famous witches in the world, Descaras, the top one there. Descaras is definitely my favorite character because she's very self-aggrandizing in sort of a casual way. Like just like, well, I'm sure that you're floored at my sheer beauty. I know that you're quaking in your boots at my raw power. That kind of thing.
Ah.
Um, and so far, as of this chapter, as the most recent chapters, they have kind of revealed the overall story of it. Ichi may or may not be involved in a world-ending prophecy. Wink. And there's a couple interesting things about this one. First off, this is part of I believe it's an increasing trend in manga and anime, or in manga, to have a separate writer and artist. Because it used to be that you'd always just have, okay, it was never a one-man show. You'd always have some assistants, of course, but
Yeah.
like the main creative thrust would always be from one person. This one has a separate writer and artist. The artist, and I think the art is quite nice. I'll show some samples in a moment. But she had done a series called Act Age, which was a horror series that lasted for 2 years that I never read. We just talked about how horror doesn't do it for me, so surprise, surprise there.
Yeah.
But the writer, Osamu Nishi, she wrote a long-running manga series called Demon School Iruma-kun, which has actually been going on for a number of years now. It's recently just got its 3rd season on Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
Ichi the Witch seems to be a slightly more serious series than that one. I would call Demon School Iruma-kun basically, what if My Hero Academia didn't have the all for one problem, like plot looming over it, and had very little subtext and was just silly school adventures. This one is definitely the author going for a more serious attempt, which makes sense. One thing I've noticed about these, when you have a mangaka who's running who's writing multiple series at the same time, they seem to like to switch things up a little bit. Like, for example, Oshinoko was written at the same time by the writer of Love is War, the silly romance drama or silly romance comedy. So,
yeah.
Now, I think so. I think that this series has some nice mystery. The art is nice. I like the way that the fights aren't just raw power. But the sort of cynical is the wrong word for it, but the smart thing they have done, because Ichi, by the nature of it, is the only male character of import. Because this is definitely if the society itself isn't matriarchal, then the witches having the sole access to magical power definitely gives them a leg up. That's kind of reflected here in Ichi's clothing, which so it looks like vaguely feminine.
Yeah.
That's because he has some witch gear that he's picked up. But that also means that waifus everywhere. So when this catches the internet's attention, you're going to have a lot of fan art.
Yes, Rule 34.
And even just people like drawing women in general more. Shock of shocks. But so we'll see if this ends up wrapping up early or if it ends up standing the test of time.
All right.
But I'd say now I keep periodically checking to see if the volumes are being brought over in print in the US yet. It is available through Shonen Jump's app digitally, both to just purchase. But I say if this interests you at all, just drop $3, get full access, cancel if you don't see anything else that you want to read.
Yeah. All right. And we got Bogdan's and Ichi the Killer origin story. And
not familiar with that one.
Good to see you, Anna.
But
and Ninja says Ichi is insane.
Yes, he is. I kind of downplayed that, but he is he was raised out in the woods by himself. He has some strange ideas about life.
And Bogdan, Bogdan likes drawing women too.
What? Well, it's good. It's good to know that it wasn't torture drawing Jessica for your comic
Yeah.
or the pinups.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that's all I have to say about that. I've been weighing whether or not to talk about this one for a bit, but I think now that I think it's finally hit the point where I can go, okay, this isn't going to get canceled this week. Because I think you can sometimes tell with these manga that are written week to week, are the editors giving them good feedback? Are the editors saying, hey, this is doing well? The Shonen Jump, you'll live or die by the reader surveys.
Yeah.
There are a few I've started on that app where it's like, oh, you got canceled very soon, huh? Okay. But you can
Yeah.
kind of tell because of how they were telling the story. Like a couple of just like, oh, that felt, huh? You set up a world where this is a different series. I forget the name of off the top of my head. Huh?
Yeah.
You set up an alternate world where there were like 100 of these zombie monsters, but you fought 3 and then jumped right to the end. Oh, you got canceled. Okay.
Got to wrap it up right now.
Yep. You have 3 issues. Go.
Yeah.